Mr. President, Commissioner, dear colleagues. As the rapporteur of the international dimension of the reform of the CFP, I am today quite proud to say that I think actually we did it. In the almost unanimous vote in Fisheries Committee, colleagues supported and also to a large extent improved my draft report so that it now clearly sets out the future principles for the EU external fishing fleet, how it can be sustainable in all its external actions. And it actually shows the way how the EU can become a leader by setting an example of responsible behaviour of a long-distance fishing nation worldwide. What we have achieved is quite remarkable. We reached a consensus that the EU should only negotiate fisheries agreements where there is a clearly and scientifically proved surplus of fish that is not needed by local fishermen or the people in the region. Of course, the fish stocks also need to be in a good condition. We agree that the same rules should apply for EU vessels whether they operate inside or outside the Union, for instance, regarding discarding of fish. We also agreed to introduce a human rights clause in the agreement, so if there is a serious violation of human rights in third countries, the protocols shall be suspended. And we stated the need to decouple the access fees from the money that gives so-called sectoral support in a clear way, so that poor countries should not be tempted to sell more fish to get more development aid. A very large support was also shown to the concept of regional agreements. The EU should not use its strength to negotiate agreements with countries one by one in developing parts of the world, but encourage regional cooperation, which would lead to better management of fisheries resources and transparency on total catches. We also recognise that the EU and its member states have responsibilities over the many private fishing operators that are fishing all over the world, owned by EU interests but often flying other flags. And the committee also recognised our great responsibility as the greatest fish consumer market in the world, importing and actually eating 11% of all the world's catches in terms of volume. I do not want to hide the fact that there is some controversial content in the report and that the biggest group in our parliament are still trying to get these things out of tomorrow's vote, such as the anti-flag hopping clause, the exclusivity clause and the statement that vessel owners should pay a considerable market-based share of the access fees. I regret this, and I hope really that those, even in the EPP group, that want to see the EU as a leader by example on issues relating to environmental sustainability, fair trade and respect of human rights, will not try to delete these paragraphs. One paragraph that I would like to emphasise is paragraph 7, talking about greater coordination inside the Commission and between Member States. And to really achieve policy coherence on development, as stated in Article 208 in the Lisbon Treaty, we need to do that. We cannot have EU negotiating fisheries agreements using development aid and trade agreements as pressure to push through access to fishing grounds in developing countries. Colleagues, I do believe we have a great report here that can not only change the impact of the EU on the world's oceans, but could also change how all distant fishing nations behave on the world's oceans. By showing that the EU is willing to change, poor countries have an easier time putting conditions on other distant fishing nations. We, colleagues, have started a race to the top in good standards with this report. I really want to thank all the shadow rapporteurs, the assistants and advisers who helped with this report. I think we have a promise here of a great success. Thank you, everyone.
Το λόγο έχει η καθήλυν αρμοδία επίτροπος, κυρία Μαρία Δαμανάκη.
Ευχαριστώ, Πρόεδρε. Dear President, honourable members, ladies and gentlemen, first I would like to thank all the